Hello, I'm William Weers, and this is,
Lorna Wood?
and we just saw the Shakespeare Code. So, what did you think of it?
Well, I thought the premise was exceptionally thin, even for Doctor Who, because it was just an obvious vehicle for getting a lot of jokes about Shakespeare and Doctor Who supplying him with material and things of that sort. If you can get past that, though, I thought it was enjoyable. I enjoyed the pacing. Like, I liked the way that the theater roof came off, and there was this huge end of the world apocalyptic stuff going on. I liked the witches. It was all very enjoyable. I liked the visit to the insane asylum and the remarks on that and the consideration of humanity and the treatment of the insane, which was good. Yeah, so I don't know. I liked the concept of Fredonia and Shakespeare's curiosity about it. And
yeah, I like that they acknowledged Martha Jones's race, even though it probably would have definitely been more of a factor in real life. I like that they didn't just go colorblind with it, which I thought they might.
Well, I actually thought that it was sort of hinted that her race might have implicated her in witchcraft, because she was found over a dead body at one point, doing weird things, i.e., she was doing CPR. I thought that would, I think it was sort of hinted that could be dangerous for her. That's particularly dangerous for her.
Yeah.
I also think that also, there's a common now, thank you, Greenblatt, reading of The Tempest as a colonial, right, as a colonial thing. And so the idea that her difference and her powers are coming from another world, and giving Shakespeare the idea for the Tempest, or ideas for the Tempest, that I think that was I liked all the stuff that played into Shakespeare and the things we think about Shakespeare. I thought that was all fun.
And that is why I thought this episode was so much better than The Unquiet Dead. Because The Unquiet Dead had Dickens, but never really took advantage of anything Dickens did. This episode has Shakespeare, another English luminary, but does so much with Shakespeare, whether it be writing poetry to the companion or just the whole world created. It just feels night and day different, even though, of course, all the period, like production design, costumes, that's all fine. But on a basic thematic level, this one works so much better.
Right, definitely. I think if you're going to use a figure like that, you should do a lot of stuff with him and his work. I think one of the sort of, like, if I were going to be doing something with Dickens, well, first of all, he never did anything that was outright horror, really, I don't think. He did have a grave robber, right, in Tale of Two Cities. Samuel Weller, isn't he a grave robber? I think he turns out to be a grave robber. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read that to the kids, and before that read that and had it read to me. But it's a chain cycle of abuse. Anyway.
Okay, let's not go all Bob Marley. I know it's nearing Christmas, but
anyway. I think, well, that guy who spontaneously combusts in Bleak House is pretty close to that. But so they could have made connections that they didn't make. But here, they really tied it together well. But it didn't, the science fiction aspect of it was really thin and lacking.
It was, but I didn't care. I don't know. I can't get to, this is where she and I often differ, even with the story she's currently writing, is that if I like the characters, if I like the story, the bare bones of the story, I don't care about whatever MacGuffin is used. I mean, my favorite Star Trek film of all time, for a lot of people, is The Wrath of Khan. You know, but it has some of the dumbest science ever with the whole Genesis device that can create a whole planet and life because of, I don't know. So, I suspend my disbelief with that because everything else around it is so rich. And I thought similarly about this one. Everything around it was so well done. The acting was good. I know a lot of people really didn't like the witch villains, but I thought they worked. I mean, they weren't they weren't Cybermen or Daleks in terms of seriousness, but they served their function well. And I liked how they had the little voodoo doll and how they execute people through the drowning. I thought that was well done, and it was just that right level of disturbing / comic. So I thought they worked on a similar level to the Slovene in their debut episode. And I think what I've noticed is often Kuvians sort of object when the villains seem to be a little too comic, but I feel like it usually toes the line well.
Right. So my favorite Star Trek is the first reboot because it has. I like the Wrath of Khan. Okay, I don't mind liking those things, but I just feel a little more respect if people went through some trouble. I think that the very complicated time maneuvering in that film is, respect to those authors who worked it out so that it really works.
Yeah, but that film also has terrible science. I mean, the whole supernova that explodes and then moves throughout the galaxy slowly to destroy Romulus, that's not scientifically accurate.
Right.
I don't think the red matter is very scientifically accurate.
But I like the time play.
I know, I'm just saying that.
I didn't really pay attention to the other stuff because, I'm used to Star Trek being completely, technobabble, whatever.
So that was how it was for me in this one. I'm expecting silly science. But what I did like, and I was thinking about this last night because I was trying to think, I enjoyed it. It was a fun romp, but was there anything thoughtful in it? What I actually did. What?
I thought there was a lot of stuff.
There was a lot that was thoughtful, but what I really liked, even though it was silly, was the power of the words. Because I feel like that was sort of making a statement. Because, Doctor Who is science fiction, and usually science fiction is dismissed as pulp and meaningless, in a similar way novels used to be. And so I felt like this episode was sort of making a statement that science fiction is important and it can be meaningful.
Okay, well, I can see that. I thought it was kind of making a statement that words could be interchangeably substituted for mathematical explanations in science, and you really can't. I feel trying to figure out quantum mechanics without having only had a long time ago a basic calculus course, which I don't remember, is really difficult. And I know that I'm never going to get it like somebody who's really studied the math. So, you really can't. But if you do, obviously witches are the people who are going to have the power of words because that's how they always work. But that's actually called magic and not science. And I guess because we live in America, especially in this age of, if we decide that COVID doesn't exist, we won't wear masks and everything will be fine. I find it a little disturbing. But if you do accept that premise, then I think witches are just a perfect vehicle for that.
Yeah.
And I like their prostheses and their makeup and everything. I thought they were great. And I liked how they had little characters that went with them. I liked it.
Yeah. And it didn't dwell too long on I was worried there was going to be several scenes of them seducing men to their deaths or something, but there was just the one scene at the beginning. So that was good.
Yeah, teaser.
Yeah. So that was a relief.
Which was very much Romeo and Juliet too, which was cool.
I liked the end when Queen Elizabeth shows up and is an enemy of a doctor and he doesn't know what it's about because that's how time travel works. I thought that was well done. From what I understand, it's going to be a running gag throughout the show. Whenever they get to around that period, they'll run into Queen Elizabeth and she'll want him, have his head off, and he never will know why.
Well, I imagine that she was pretty upset that they couldn't redo the show for her. I don't know how they were expecting to blow the lid off the theater again with another apocalyptic display.
Got to use your imagination. Yeah. So, I liked all that. I liked how much of a fanboy the Doctor was. I thought that was cute in the whole. Oh, I'm gonna use that. Oh, sorry, it's already taken. Or oh, yes, you can. And all that. Or I thought those running jokes were well done. They did never felt stale, even though they kept sort of repeating them.
That was my favorite. Well, they had all kinds of ones, like "Don't rub your head or you'll go bald," because we know what pictures of Shakespeare were like. I like the character of Shakespeare because, especially over in America, again, another American slam. I'm thinking of The Big Bang Theory. My favorite pet peeve. We have every time we have an intellectual, there's always something wrong with them, so that we can all feel good at not being intellectual. Except I am intellectual, so I don't like it. But I like that he was human, he was approachable, and he was a genius at the same time. Hello, there actually are those people out there. We're not all, I'm not a genius, but they're not all maladjusted, and not all intellectuals are maladjusted.
And the whole episode was about celebrating intellectuals, I think.
Which was very refreshing.
In celebrating intellectuals and what they can do for the masses. So yeah, on that level, it also worked really well. So yeah, I know this episode, I think, has somewhat of a polarizing reputation. I read one review that gave it a 4 out of 10 and another one that gave it an 8 out of 10. I'd give it an A-.
I guess I feel it's really kind of more fantasy than science fiction, but given that, I enjoyed the fantasy.
Yeah.
I think I'd give it, A-. I really thought it was better than the last episode because of that very troubling resolution that we talked about. So
yeah, I mean, this one, if you accept it on its terms, it works. I can understand people object to the science, but I can't care.
Right, it's Doctor Who, it's not hardcore science fiction.
If they use the words every episode to trap the enemy or something, then that would be ridiculous. Like with Star Trek Voyager, it's not that I object to Dan approach doing one or two things, but when they're bringing back the dead and solving radio, it just gets too much. Or with Discovery and their magic mushrooms.
Right, and it's not just that the words are magic like witchcraft, because you have Shakespeare, so it's also the artistic deployment of the words that matters.
I also
was a little confused on that point.
I did like the little Expelliarmus.
Yeah, but that also relates to a work of literature that's widely viewed as powerful.
Yeah. And it doesn't fall into the trap, I think. Like, even though the guest star is sort of a focus, it still has time to come back to the Doctor, and that with
Rose.
It cuts back to Rose, and then there's the scene with them on the bed, and she's hoping that maybe some romance will happen.
And he's a typical man, obsessed with his work.
Yeah, I just feel it staring me right in the face. So yeah, those little beats, make it good. I don't know about the neck ruff as the back healer or whatever it was. I thought that was
whiplash.
Silly. That was a little too silly even for me. But.
Oh my God.
So anyway, yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. And you were talking about how you feel like the season's been a bit silly. So I'll just mention, I have heard that like the second half of the season is actually really dark. So I feel like they're, lulling the viewer, getting to let the viewer know the characters and things like that. And then it's going to start getting stakesier, I guess is the word. Again.
Okay, thanks for the spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. It's just a reassurance that they're not all going to be goofball episodes like this one, because you seemed a little concerned that it might be.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.